Hey guys, it's layout overview time. Yes, it is. Once again, hey, you know what? Every once in a while, I got to do these because we get so many new people, new subscribers. They have the same questions and things like that. Plus there's always I always leave something out of the overview, and so I gotta keep doing them just until I get everything in. Anyway, let's start out this overview with a little bit of discussion here on where the location of my layout is. So it is in Southern California. It's based on a Southern California Union Pacific industrial line, actually a couple of them. And let's take a quick look over here on my little map here just to kind of situate us really quick. And as you can see, we're in Southern California here, and the layout consists of two different industrial leads currently. The Santa Ana industrial lead and the Stanton industrial lead. Now we kind of start out over here in Santa Fe Springs, Los Niitos UP yards, a small yard. We kind of head down the line here, and we come to a first section of industries here, and you can see I've got a couple on there that don't exist in the layout anymore, like Liberty Vegetable Oil, but we have Southern Wine and Spirits and United Polymers, Royal Plywood, Shasta Beverage, and those all sound familiar if you've been watching the channel there. And then we head down through Anaheim here into a little kink right here, and then that's where we leave the Santa Ana industrial lead and we pick up the Stanton industrial lead. Now you can see right there I've got Sanford and Son Salvage. That's right there where the horse ring is in the salvage yard. And again, Sanford and Son Salvage obviously is a fictitious industry, but hey, who doesn't love to have a salvage yard on their layout here? And so we'll kind of come back to that, but yeah, that's where that is. And then this line heads all the way down into Huntington Beach here, and we've got a couple of different industries along the line there, ending up with our reliable wholesale lumber down there. We've got Surfers Outlet and our big switchback, the Southern California Edison facility right there. And then Terrazzo and Marble, it doesn't sound familiar to the new guys, but that's where Soundtrack is right now. So kind of had a little bit of fun there, renamed a couple of those industries, like Liberty Vegetable Oil up here is actually athearn now, as in athearn, trains and stuff. Anyway, that's the kind of general location of where this layout is based off of. Let's take a quick look over here on my little layout diagram here, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about how it's laid out. So first of all, I do model modern day. That's what it is. It's 2024 now here, and but you might say, well, wait a minute, I've seen a couple older locomotives and stuff like that, some Santa Fe units over there, and yes, it's a train set in a guy's garage, so we can do anything we want. And but generally, I do model the modern day here. So here's the whole layout right here in a basic schematic here. And so you can actually take a look at this on my community tab. If you go to my channel there on YouTube and go over to where it says community, this is like the first post. You can get a little bit closer look at it right there. But generally, the way it started out here, minus this little section here, or I'll grab a little marker there, minus this section, which is the news section here. It used to just be this section right here, which is basically a big loop that kind of cuts around here and has a dead end with a divider in between to just sort of separate the yard here from the rest of the layout there. Now, the way I started this was I kind of really wanted to do something other than, have a railroad that, kind of, just runs through scenery. And, I've mentioned that before where, sometimes you want to build a railroad and you're like, wow, look at that. It looks really cool if you have a bridge and a tunnel and, a loop or something like that. And well, that's all fine and dandy, but unless you've got a giant basement and you're going to, spend a lot of time and a lot of effort to build this thing, it's got to have a little bit more of a purpose than just, a train running over, a bridge and through a tunnel kind of thing. I think you'd get bored pretty quick. And that's where you end up doing operations, and that's where I kind of got into operating. And there's different forms of operations now. You can run longer trains and stuff like that go through tunnels and go through bridges and go through big scenic areas and things like that. But you got to have a room to kind of model that. Now, since I'm doing this in my garage, I don't have a ton of room, and so what I ended up doing is kind of researching switching layouts. Like I wanted to have the most fun and have a purpose to my railroad, other than just running it around in circles, that sort of thing. And that's where, after doing a little research, I came across Lance Minheim's series of books here, and specifically this one right here, which is how to operate a modern era switching layout. Highly recommend this book, and I'll put a link to it, Amazon link to it in the description here of this video. So affiliate link there, I get a couple of cents or something if you buy one. But highly recommend this book. It goes into a lot of the details we're going to talk about here, and it really kind of influenced me heavily on what sort of a layout I would have here. So anyway. Let's kind of talk about, am I a proto freelance? What am I here? Am I prototypical? Well, I guess I call it proto lance, okay, is the best way to do it. It's a prototypical layout, meaning it is based on a real world layout, Union Pacific, real lines that we just looked at on the map over there, right? But I kind of freelanced a lot of stuff, like, having soundtracks and athearn as industries, having, Sanford and Son salvage, things like that aren't exactly perfect 100%, absolutely the same thing as the real world. And so, call it whatever, proto freelance, however you want to call it, that's basically what it is here. So now also talking about Lance Minheim in his little book here on switching there. So one of the other things I, really enjoyed from his book was how varied how varied the operations can be, right? Depending on all of the different industries you have. And I think in the book somewhere he kind of mentions that like the potential operating of your layout directly corresponds to like basically the amount of industries and the amount of car spots you have, So for instance, here at Athearn, we've got one car spot with our little car right there. Over here at this industry here, we've got like 3 car spots. So the more spots you have, the more sort of variation you can have, is what I'm getting at. And so basically what I did was I built a switching layout, but it's sort of like, it's bigger than your average shelf sort of layout that might just be, like a 2 foot by 8 foot or something like that. I've kind of built it, every spot I've got, every, inch I've got over here in my garage is what I've used to do that and kind of incorporate as much switching as I could. So along that line also, let's talk about a couple of the little details of the actual layout here. So, and actually before I jump into that, let's take a look at the specs here. So people always talk about, let's see, like what, let me back up over here. Turn on a couple more lights here. So people ask, how big is this layout? Well, so if I stand over here, I am in my garage here. I am in Southern California, and this is a 3-car garage, you could say, more like 2.5, but whatever, 3-car garage, and it takes up about half of it. So from one end to the other, it's basically a big square here. It's 16 feet by 16 feet. So all the way from the door over there to the end right here where the couch is like 16 feet. And then basically all the way along the wall there by the flag, one end to the other to the garage door, another 16 feet. So 16 by 16 feet. We're gonna get into like some of the nitty gritty here. My aisles are 4 feet, right? The bench work here is basically 2 feet with a couple little, jogs out here and there for, runarounds and things like that. Generally the height here, because we are in a garage, so, the floor slopes. So it's, I think it was about 44 inches over on that end. And then when you come out to the doors over here, I think it's about like 50 inches or something like that, 52 inches, if I remember correctly. And let's see here. Oh, some of the backboards here are about 14 inches high. So roughly from here to the top of the shelf is 14 inches, about 12 inches up to here. So that's 12 inches right there. One of the things that I did is I think Lance even mentions it in his book, but you know, I kind of had this in my head before I even read that, was I wanted to do YouTube videos. I wanted to kind of record, you know, doing a channel, doing a train channel and stuff like that. And so I really like the idea of having it look like, you know, photogenic, I guess, you know, or having areas in the layout that, you know, are basically looking like a scene, you know, from a movie or a show or something like that. And that's where I came up with sort of having the black border. It's sort of like when you go to you know, a movie theater or a play or something like that, and I forgot what the proper term is there, but you know, it's black on the bottom, black on the top, letterbox sort of effect here. So when you're sitting here like this with the camera, that's all you're seeing. You're seeing your little play area right here where, you know, we're playing with trains, so to speak. So that's why things are the way they are, meaning that's why it's black over here. And that's why I had this little idea to do this shelf up at the top here so that I could have a little, what do you call it? I forgot what to call it. Not the fascia, but you know, up here, valance or whatever it is. Anyway, and then also it allows me to do lighting. So I have LED strip lights underneath there that illuminate the background there, and that's where it gives it that sort of nice effect when you're filming here. So yeah, that's one of the things that I did there. And let me go get my clipboard, because I have a clipboard of notes to try to make sure that I get everything into this video that I keep getting questions on. So let's see here. Oh, my control system is the ESU cab controller. So there's the handheld unit right there. And here's, over here by the flag is the actual unit. So there's a power brick underneath there, and then that's it right there. Just a cab control unit. I got it from Yankee Dabbler. He sells those. If I remember, I think it was $3.99 or something like that. Just easy to use, powers the whole layout. I don't need anything else, and it's got instant sort of Wi-Fi, so you can actually connect up to it with Wi-Fi throttles. You can, you know, connect up to it with, you know, a laptop and JMRI. Makes for easy sort of if you want to play around with that sort of tech part of it. So yeah, why I picked it? Well, because it was just kind of ease of use, right? I used to have a NCE, you know, wired sort of little deal when I first started out, and obviously wandering around here, and it, you know, I needed to be wireless, and so that was my search led me to the cab controller there. Anyway, let's see here. Oh yeah, going back to sort of Lance Minhein's sort of way of doing things here and switching and everything. A lot of it is sort of centered around just sort of mimicking what happens in the real world. And so, you know, we take the time here to run our trains, you know, for the most part. We try to do it as prototypically as we can. We kind of have a little bit of fun here on the channel and so forth. But for the most part, you know, we stop and we throw our turnouts and stuff like that. Now, in the real world here, people ask, why don't you have signals, and why don't you have you know, automatic you know, turnouts and stuff like that? Because that's not the way it is in the real world, right? So we're Proto Freelance here. So the proto part of it is yeah. What happens in the real world is on this line when you know, the Santa Ana local, or whatever you want to call it, the Costa Mesa local, when it comes down the line, you know, to switch a few cars, they have to stop at the turnouts, and the conductor has to get out, and he has to, you know, get his keys and unlock the lock and to the turnout, and then manually throw it, and then get back on the train, and then continue on. So that's why I have you know, manual throws here, other than a couple spots where it was just, you know, advantageous to, you know, kind of reach, like back here in this little corner right here where my turnouts are still not ballasted over there. But I got a couple of switch machines down there, and then also at the end of the yard lead over here, because sometimes I'm at the yard working and I need to kind of switch this one And I've got a little flip up bridge right here that, I want to crawl underneath it. So those are the only three that are controlled by switch machines. Now, speaking of locks, people ask, what are all these locks? Well, just kind of what we talked about right there. It's just a little lock, El Cheapo things you get off of, Amazon. And, they're just on the fascia right here. And they correspond to the turnouts right here. So you can see we've got two turnouts right there and two locks right there. So that sort of thing. So everywhere there's a lock here, it corresponds pretty much to a turnout. And in a couple of spots, it corresponds to a derailleur. So let's say we have a derailleur someplace, which I think, here we go. I know I'm swinging you around, but right over there, you see my little yellow derailleur. Now I know people have said, you can make derailleurs, you can buy derailleurs. I use these little, little electrical connectors right there. Got a yellow one there in my hand, and that's my derailleur. And so that has a lock too right there. So when we're running, really prototypically, and the locomotive is going to come in here with some cars or something like that. They got to stop. They got to unlock the lock, and then they can remove the derailleur there, or flip it, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's why I have the locks on there. So a lot of people always ask about that. Also, all of the track, we're kind of jumping around here a little bit, but things are popping into my head here. So all the track is Atlas Code 100 Flex Track. The turnouts are all Pico Code 100 Electrofrog turnouts. They work fine. I don't have to do any modifications or anything like that. I have no issues with them. And they are the small ones, which, they don't go off in numbers like Atlas or anybody else, but they have small, medium, and large. And so all of my turnouts are small. The reason I picked small is because, I'm kind of small in space here, and I didn't want to use up a bunch of space with larger turnouts. The only turnout that I have that's not a small is this one right here, is a medium. And it's just because I think when I was buying turnouts, I needed a left-hand one, and they didn't have any smalls, so I ended up buying the medium right there. So that is the only medium-sized Pico turnout that I have. All right, moving on. I'm taking a look at my list here. Let's see here. Back to the industries and the switching and stuff like that. And so all of these little things that we have here, lots of different industries and lots of different car spots. And one of the things that I really like about, it's getting dark. One of the things that I really like about having a switching layout with lots of different industries and spots like that, there's so much variety, right? And we can just, we don't have to be, sticklers in the mud kind of thing. We can kind of do whatever the heck we want here, even though it may not be sort of realistic. But we can pick two different industries and just switch those. It's almost like, I said before, I think I've got 18 different industries on the layout currently. And I don't know how many car spots. I'd have to count them all up, but, like 50 plus, And so we can make a whole different variety, all unlimited almost amount of different sorts of trains that come out to the layout here and do switching. Some of them may come down here and switch Royal Plywood and just Shasta Beverage for a nice little easy rundown here. But then maybe you're doing Royal Plywood, and then you got to come over here and do soundtracks, right? And then maybe you kind of mix that up into our new section over here and come over to Orange. And, Orange, California here, that's what this is. And, they switch out this industry here. So there's almost like an endless variety of cars and trains that you can build out. So it never gets boring. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I'm still not bored, because every time I, come out here and build a local, to run out, it's something different, and I'm still running into situations where it's like, I've never done that. I've never switched those two industries or those three industries together. And boy, that was totally new, and I've never done it before. And I've been doing it for years, that sort of thing. So I highly recommend, if you're going to do a switching layout like this, just keep that in mind. I recommend get the book, read it, and give you all these cool ideas and stuff like that. All right, let's see here. Okay, so how about my method for, how do I run this? What do I use to make my switch lists or car cards, or what do I do here? Now, I've tried everything. When I first started, I actually made sort of a rudimentary car card and waybill system. Didn't really like it. It was more work and then again, because of that large variety that I have here, I really couldn't take advantage of it with a sort of car card waybill system, because like I said, I can't just have one car going to 4 different locations. I can have that car going to, like 500 different different variety of locations here. And so I ended up looking at JMRI. Now, JMRI worked pretty good, and I used that for quite a while, and just built multiple different sorts of trains and stuff like that. But then the thing I didn't like about it was, number one, is JMRI, and it's kind of like, it's like, it's kind of like running an Atari 800. It's like running an Atari 800 program on a Windows 11 machine, sort of thing. It's a little dated in the way it looks and the way it feels and the way it works. And because it's open source kind of thing, and it's just a collaborative thing, there's 20 million different people trying to, do their thing with JMRI, and it does 500 million things, 80% perfect, but it doesn't do anything perfect. You know what I mean? But it does everything somewhat, decent. But anyway, it's just very clunky. It's very, time, you gotta have to spend a lot of time to get it set up initially and stuff like that. And then also, it's like, I used it and I did a lot of different trains on it and stuff like that. And I would print out the switch lists. And then I found, I was like, literally, I had a clipboard here. And actually, if I flip through here, my little clipboard here, I probably have a bunch of switch lists here someplace. Anyway, I think, there's all sorts of switch lists down here from JMRI and stuff like that. And I ended up using a lot of paper. And so then I went to a tablet instead. I would at least bring those JMRI switch lists onto a tablet, but then I would have a tablet here where I got to kind of use the tablet here, and it was just a little bit more clunky and stuff like that. So I ended up just kind of going back to like, listen, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want to do the day I want to do it. You know what I mean? So I would come into the yard, I would say, I'm going to switch out, let's see, I'd kind of look around and I'd say, I'm going to switch out this guy here, and I'm going to switch out this guy here, and they take these types of cars. I'm going to put those together in the yard and just run a train. And so it was just very ad hoc, and that's the way that I did it for the longest time. And I kind of still do it occasionally, So, sometimes I come out and I'm like, I just want to run a train out here to one of our new industries and just kind of see how it is and switch these guys out. So very ad hoc, nothing planned sort of thing. But recently I did want to have something that's a little bit more, what do you call it? A surprise. I wanted to have a little bit of chance. There's a sort of an element of chance of like, I want to come out here and don't know what I'm going to do next, kind of thing, instead of just sort of planning it in my head. And that's where I came up with, using a dice. And so I've got a list of industries here, all 18 on the layout. I roll my dice. I come up with what cars are going to go there, and then make up a local, and then I can do some yard work over here. And in the recent videos, that's exactly what I've been kind of going over, this process right here. So you can take a closer look at those, just going back a few videos from this one here. All right, so and I found that works good. And again, listen, I'm not knocking anybody else's system. If you like your car card and waybills, or you like your JMRI, that's totally fine. For me, it's hey, it's your railroad. You do it the way you want it, and that this is the way I do it. And I find that it's like it's not a lot of paperwork. It's not too labor intensive. I don't spend a ton of time trying to come up with switch lists and stuff like that. I spend, you know, very little time doing that, and most of the time is out here having fun running trains. That's just the way I like it. All right. All right, let's talk about, well, let's see here. What's next? I think we're going to go over to our scenery. Now, people have talked about, in the past, when I first started the railroad, they were like, man, you guys, you built it up so quick and everything like that. Well, just about everything on here is sort of, what do you call it, a mock-up. Let's put it that way. So one of the things that I wanted to do is, like, I wanted to get the scenery just looking good. And then, you know, again, sometimes you can spend way too much time, you know, building the perfect little building with all the details. Now that's fantastic if that's what you're into and you want it looking like that. Awesome. You know, like hopefully one day that's what everything on here will look like. But just the location that I'm modeling, the buildings are kind of boring. I mean, they kind of look like that. And, you know, now the whole point is, like, what I'm trying to say is, well, most of the buildings on here were done as a mock-up, right? They're all just, you know, foam board. And then I went on Street View. I printed out a little bit of, you know, just a Street View of something and glued it to my buildings there just to make it look good. Quick and dirty, get something out there, get it so it's looking decent. And I can actually come down here, put the camera down here, and just like a little movie production here, I can make my train run by here. And nobody's gonna know the difference between that being a super detailed building in the background right there and just a little, you know, just a printed out, you know, cardboard box kind of thing. So yeah, so that's why I built up a lot of this stuff with the idea that I want it to look halfway decent so I can film and make YouTube videos. And then as I, you know, progress and keep on building things and stuff like that, eventually I'll come back around and I will make it a super awesome, detailed, handcrafted, you know, lovely piece of, you know, building kind of thing. And we haven't gotten there yet, so don't freak out. But as I'm going, you know, farther and farther, you know, or keep on building this thing out, you know, I'm getting better at things too also. So let's talk about the backgrounds here. You know, people always think, wow, these backgrounds look great. Well, these backgrounds right here are some of the original ones that I did. They're actually like the second ones that I did. The ones in the yard are the first ones I did. These guys are the sort of second batch that I did. And then the final ones in the new area there are the third sort of iteration of how I did these. Now, this is just stitched together pictures off of my backyard. I see mountains and stuff like that across the valley. I printed them out on my inkjet printer and taped them together and then stuck them on the background. That's literally all it is, right? Now, you can see these are, you know, kind of warpy. There's got some warps to them and they kind of fall apart and, you know, so forth. So these will eventually get replaced. And, you know, so the latest iteration of those, if we scoot back around here, is these right here. Now, these are printed, these are vinyl banners from Walgreens. So I got a whole video on how I did that. So basically everything from right there in this whole new section is the vinyl banners that just wear, I think, a lot better. And it's, again, still the same new pictures, but still the same thing. It's basically just mountains off of my background that, or my backyard, that I took pictures of and, you know, put all together and stuff like that. And you can see here in the yard, this is the very first iteration. I was going to actually throw these out because these used to be out on the layout over here someplace. And then when I printed the new ones out, I was going to toss these out, but then I said, well, I'll just stick them in the yard here. And they've been here ever since, looking kind of awful, but hey, they serve their purpose here. Eventually to be replaced. Again, this is sort of a play. We do a play right here. And, you know, we just kind of look like that. And look at that boxcar. Nobody's going to notice that you know, that mountain in the background is a cruddy, you know, taped together piece of paper sort of thing. So anyway, a lot of the backgrounds right here are the same thing. These are just street views You go to Google Street View, go find something, cut it, take a screenshot of it, crop it out, print it out. I tried here, this one I tried to put on a little bit of a backboard there, but I don't know if I like that. But anyway, but that's what all of these other little parts are, like the little buildings in the background right there, in between the two buildings, right? The little cars parked right there in between there. That's just another piece of paper right there that you can see got wet, and unfortunately, kind of got discolored right there at the bottom, but you don't really see that from down here when you see a train rolling by. So, yeah, same thing with all of the other buildings right here. These are just buildings, cutouts, or not cutouts, I should say. Let me grab this one because it's easier to get out of here without knocking too much stuff over. But as you can see, it's just a foam board. Google Street View. I found some apartments there. Actually, I think they're in, I think Huntington Beach or Anaheim, someplace around there, in the real world where I'm modeling actually. And yeah, so I just took the Street View, cut it out, printed it, cut it out, paste it on here, and stick it in the background. Instant building, right? And if I get this back here without knocking too many things over, there we go. And so we have a decent looking building there just for the background for our little play set here, our little movie set sort of idea that I work off of over here. All right, let's see. Let me grab my clipboard again, and I think we're gonna get ready to finish this up. I think I've covered at least everything I can think of here, except for some of the future plans, right? So we're still working on orange over here. Now, if we take a quick look, because orange is not on here. Now, so orange kind of comes off of here, and you can see it says orange right there. It comes off of here, does some street running through Santa Ana, crosses the Santa Ana River right here, and then does a few industries out in this location. So that isn't depicted on this little printout here, but that's where this location is. And again, it's part of the, is it? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's part of the Santa Ana Industrial Lead. I believe, no, I'm sorry, it's called the Tustin Industrial Lead, but it's in orange, go figure. Anyway, so you can see we're still working on it, and talk about having mock-ups and stuff like that. We've got the Black Rifle Coffee company building their box, as a stand-in until we get something built out. And we don't even have anything in the background right there yet. We just got an empty spot right there for a car. So I'm still working on this. This is, kind of the next sort of focus here is to get this done. We're going to have the Santa Ana River Bridge right there that I still got to, cut out the fascia right here, have the the little Santa Ana River underneath there and a bridge. So I've got to get this thing all kind of built up, and at least to the same level as like everything else, right? Where it's looking halfway decent. I can actually do videos on there, and it, looks okay, right? Then I got to get my staging done. Now, I used to have staging back behind this backboard, and it would run, this is before we had the new section here, it would run into the yard over here. Now, a lot of people said, oh, you could just keep doing that and stuff. Well, I actually want a larger staging, because that, again, is, there's 4 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, it's only 8 feet, roughly, from there to there. And I wanted a larger section of staging, and so my staging is going to be double that. It's going to be like 16 feet, because eventually I'm going to put a hole in the background right here. It'll run back along the backboard all the way out to the very corner over there, and maybe even around the corner a little bit, and have a lot more staging to have sort of cars that come out of staging, run around the layout, come into the yard work gets done to them, and then the locals take all those cars and take them out to all the different industries. Now, longer term plans is to do a second level. Yes, you heard me correctly. Do a second level on top of this stuff right here, and do the Crestmore Industrial Lead. Now, that is a little lead that's a little bit geographically away from where we are right here, but still UP, Southern California. And if you look up the Crestmore Industrial Lead on YouTube, you'll see it's basically a 6-axle locomotives doing switching because they got to go uphill, and there's a couple industries that they switch out in over there in Crestmore. But the idea is that we'll go into the background right there and climb up behind the backdrop until we do a big loop right here and come around and then run all the way along the top of the layout here, all the way down there, all the way to the corner there, and actually do industries, you know, someplace here, there, that sort of thing. That's the long-term plan. All right, guys, I think I kind of covered everything. If I didn't cover something and you still have a question, post it in the comments, because I will reply to all those, and I'll probably kind of make a running list so the next time I have to do this, I don't forget to answer some of those questions. But yeah, we can have a lot of discussion here on the layout. You know, like I said, all these new people coming on board, they always have the same questions and stuff like that. So I hope we answered some of them and at least gave you an idea of what this layout is about, and you know, what my thoughts are and my sort of operating philosophy and that sort of thing, at least to some degree here, as much as I can do on a little YouTube video. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and if you just stumbled across here and you want to play along, hit the subscribe button. You know what to do, all that stuff. Anyway, guys, until next time, which will be shortly here, hopefully, have a good weekend and take care. Bye.